Hi, everybody. It is that time of the week again. It is Friday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or for you, whatever time it is there if you're watching the replay. My name is Hilary Perry Haggerty of tarotbyhilary.com, and that is Tarot by Hilary with one L in Hilary. Otherwise, that's not me. I am a professional tarot reader, demystifying the mystical for you and reminding you and confirming that you have your own intuition to guide you, as well as getting tarot readings from me. But most of the time, a tarot reading is just confirmation of what your intuition is already telling you. So, welcome. Tonight's topic is all about tarot and mediumship. Woo! Now, I know that when I first started getting messages from Spirit, it really, really freaked me out. I'm just saying that out loud right now. And I actually talked a little bit about this in one of our past live episodes. So go ahead and catch the replay all about how do you receive psychic information. That gives you a lot of introductory information about the clairs, which are how you perceive psychic information. And it might be really helpful to go back and look at that episode and listen to that episode. But I said it then, and I'll say it now, and I'll keep saying it. It still amazes me what tarot can do, and it still amazes me the kind of messages that I get through a tarot reading, and then sometimes without the cards as well. And this is not me tooting my own horn either, because I believe that psychic is just practiced intuition. So I believe that I'm not any better or worse than anybody else. It just so happens that because of my career, because of my job in giving readings, I have practiced intuition, which is psychic. So it's an acknowledgement for you. You have intuition too, and the more you practice it, the more it will grow and the more psychic you will become. So let's get that out of the way. Let me go ahead and check that everything is working. Doing a tech check first to make sure that it is recording and that the audio is recording. I'm pretty sure the audio is recording. I don't have any multiple tabs going on like I've done in past episodes where you've had a nice little feedback loop, right? Let's see here. And if you are watching live right now, go ahead and give me hearts, give me a wave, give me a hello, who you are and where you're tuning in from. I'd love to be able to chat with you. And if you have any questions as we're going through this free workshop, please feel free to drop it in the chat and I will get to it as we go to the Q&A session at the end of the workshop. Okay? Okay. Administrative stuff over, let me go ahead and make sure that we are recording. I know that I check it every single time, and I've been doing this for a few weeks now, actually a few months now. I'm not sure if this is the 8th or the 9th episode of Tarot by Hilary Live. So I'll have to look and count, right? Let's see. Nope, it looks like everything's recording. It says we're live, so we are live. Woohoo! Okay. And let me just test that the chat is working, because sometimes there's a little bit of a lag in when people post comments and when I actually see them in the Be Live studio. So it's working. Yay. Okay. So let's get started with the episode of Tarot and Mediumship. So let me pull up my agenda. And we're going to start out here. And I've noticed that I don't have any notes. I'm going off the cuff here in my Tarot and Mediumship free workshop here. So first of all, you want to be able to connect to the other side in a safe way. Now, how do you do that? There's many different ways that you can do this, but I found that just simply speaking aloud and creating a sacred space for you to do the work or to make the connection is really the best way that I found, and the safest way to be able to connect to the other side. Be intentional. I think that's just great advice in any area of life, but especially in the metaphysical realm. You want to be intentional with what you're doing. Intention is everything in the metaphysical realm and the spiritual realm and in the magical realm as well. A little side note, I am also a witch as well. Not all tarot readers are witches. Not all witches are tarot readers. Just going to give that aside right now. But I have found that in my own magical practice, there are some parallels in how I create space for a magical ritual and how I create space for a tarot reading is very similar for me. So what I like to do is I'll make myself, and I talk a lot about containers. And I've actually spoken to some of my clients about that when they've asked me, like, how do I be more intuitive? How do I use my intuitive gifts? I usually start with creating containers. That's my tagline for creating sacred space, is creating a container in which to do the work that you're going to do, whether it's connecting to the other side via a mediumship reading, whether it's doing a tarot reading for yourself, whether it's doing a tarot reading for another person or a psychic reading for another person. You want to first create the container to do the work in. And so to me, it's about doing or creating opening rituals and closing rituals. So you want to be able to say to the universe, God, your higher self, your spirit guides, I'm open and I'm ready to receive information. And you can do that in the way that feels most comfortable or that makes sense to you. For example, for me, I'll usually put on my psychic mala. You might have seen it in previous episodes. I believe I was wearing it in our new moon, full moon episode. So go ahead and check that out. But it has a lot of rainbow moonstone. It has labradorite. It has crystals that are attuned to that particular work, psychic work. So I'll usually put that mala on my neck as my sign, my physical sign. I'm open now. I'm working now. I'm doing a psychic reading now, or I'm connecting to the other side now. So that's one thing that I do. I'll sit down and I'll get a glass of water, or I'll have my my Perrier lime. Got that right here. Hydration is very, very important. And this is something that I do to open the reading. During the reading, I make sure that I keep myself hydrated, not only because I'm using my voice for a one-on-one reading or a phone or a Skype reading, but because hydration is really important. It keeps us in flow. It keeps on reminding us to stay grounded in our physical body, even though we are up in the clouds doing this kind of work. So hydration is very important. So I do that before the reading, during the reading, and then after the reading. Water. Hydration check for all of you that are watching right now. Have you drank your water? So that's another way that we create a container in which to do the work that we're doing. The next step that I would recommend is to say it out loud. I know it sounds a little weird and a little silly, especially if you're sitting and you're wanting to connect to the other side by yourself. Maybe have a notebook and a pen so that you can jot down your impressions or whatever you might be receiving. Even if you think it's your thoughts, you don't want to just think. You want to say, you want to use the breath of the air to give form to your guides, your protection. So I'll usually say a prayer out loud, or I'll say something to the effect of, may this reading be of the highest good for everyone involved. May I only speak the truth, or may I be kind and compassionate in my reading. All of the things that I want for the reading, I will say out loud. I'll also say something to the effect of, this is a protected space. This is a sacred space. Keep out anything that is that has an ill wish or negative or lower spirits are not welcome here, that kind of thing. So you want to be able to make sure that you're connecting in a safe way. And there is a way to do that that's very practical. And it seems very mundane as I'm saying it, but it works. And so I'm only saying the stuff that works for me. You may vary, like your mileage may vary. So pick and choose the things that you find work for you, but there is a little bit of experimentation involved there. So you want to try new things and see what really works best for you. Then be in that space. And also, if you happen to be reading for somebody else, admit to that person what your level is. And so I think that in not only in tarot reading, not only in mediumship readings, we need to be really clear about expectations and manage expectations from the start. So if you're still new to tarot, or you're still new to connecting to the other side, or doing mediumship readings, or connecting to spirit, or feeling it out, say so. And use it as a spirit of experimentation and helpfulness as well. Like say, and if you don't feel comfortable charging, and I think I've said this in a previous episode too, if you don't feel comfortable charging, there should be an exchange there though, for at least a testimonial, something like that. Even if you're not charging, there should be an exchange of energy there for there to be really a true reading going on. There's an exchange. So that's a couple of things to do when you're starting the reading, when you're into the reading. And in that reading space, it's almost as if everything is a reading. So what I like to do with clients is I tell them to silence their phone, or I tell them to, be very present. But sometimes their phone will go off, and I'll ask, who is that texting? Or who is that trying to call? And you want to note what's happening within that reading space, because now everything is a part of that reading. So make notes, write things down, because only if you don't write down the notes, you can't track, and you can't track your successes. You can't track your mistakes or your failures. I don't think there's any such thing. You're gonna be wrong from time to time, but if you don't track those things or write those things down, or keep a note of the sensations or the feelings in your body that you're feeling to denote a right or a wrong answer, you're not going to be able to go back and track that to learn how to get better at those readings. So keep that in mind. Then what you want to do, you want to have a way to close the reading. I usually like to maybe take off the mala that I have and drink a big glass of water, or make myself another cup of tea. You want to say to your guides or your spirits, I'm done now. Like this reading space is now closed. And I wanted to actually speak a little bit about reality TV mediums. I mean, I do tend to love watching those kinds of shows. I mean, who doesn't? But at the same time, I don't enjoy watching shows in which a medium kind of like sneak attacks a person and gives them a reading out of nowhere. I feel like I actually call it psychic diarrhea because if that person was meant to see you for a reading, they would have come and booked a reading. Do you know what I mean? It's just a personal pet peeve of mine, but I don't like that because it feels as if it's more in service to that medium, assuaging their own anxiety, or like, oh, I feel I need to deliver this message to this person, instead of keeping boundaries, keeping compartments, keeping containers as it was. So Again, earlier in the episode, I talked about containers. That's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. So that's the reason why we have the container. It's a boundary, and it's also a way of saying, okay, like, we're not on 24/7. You know, like, tarot readers are not on 24/7. Psychics are not on 24/7. Mediums are not on 24/7. Do we often get messages outside of the reading spaces that we have created and then closed? Absolutely. Absolutely we do. But do we then take that information and what onto somebody else? No. There's a thing called ethics, you know? So remember to open the space, you know, make that a ritual or routine. Make the ritual or routine during the reading space, and then make the ritual routine closing the reading space. So that's how you connect to the other side in a safe way. And also make sure you say it out loud to your guides, to the universe. Even if you don't think you have guides or spirit guides, I assure you, you do. Most people do. So I want to just emphasize that. Speak it out loud. Tell them, you know, I'm here, I'm open, I'm willing, I'm listening, only for the highest good, and we can work together. So you don't need to know them by name. And I'm sure there's many meditations out there, path workings out there that you can do in order to meet your spirit guides. I'll look and see if there's a few resources that I can recommend, and I'll pop that into the chat after the live is over. So now we're going to move into some frequently asked questions that I get. Are all psychics mediums? Are all mediums psychics? So if you're familiar with Venn diagrams, so you've got the circles, right? You've got a circle here and you've got a circle here, and then the circles interlink in the middle, right? So one circle would represent everything that a psychic does, and the other circle would represent everything that a medium does. And this is partially my opinion, but it's also the opinion of other people that I'm friends with that are mediums, more mediums than tarot readers. And what my friend, and this is actually from my friend Jake, who is the compassionate medium. You can go ahead and go to his website. He's fabulous. And he is also a Lily Dale accredited medium. So that is the Lily Dale Spiritualist Assembly that is in Lily Dale, New York. And it's like they base their religion, their church, around speaking to the dead, around mediumship. So, and it's very, very difficult to become an accredited Lily Dale medium. So kudos to you, Jake, for going through all those hoops, and it's amazing. He's a really great medium, and he's one of the mediums that I recommend when someone comes to me and asks, do you do mediumship? I'll usually say we can try, but I would rather recommend someone who is a medium, and that is their professional expertise, as it were. So, quick answer to this question: are all psychics mediums or all mediums psychics? Jake says, and I don't know if I entirely agree or disagree with him, but we'll give him the benefit of the doubt by expressing his opinion here. He believes that all mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. And to some degree, I agree with him, and to some degree, I don't, because I consider myself a psychic. I don't necessarily consider myself a medium. However, I have gotten messages from people who have passed on. So can I do it on a regular basis or on purpose? Not usually. So are all mediums psychics? Yes. But are all psychics mediums? Not necessarily. So if you're looking to book with a medium, with a tarot reader, please ask us. Ask us what we can do and what we cannot do. What our specialities are. versus what they're not, what our fields of expertise is versus what it isn't. So I can confidently profess that I am a professional tarot reader. Can I confidently profess that I am a professional medium? No, that's not what I do. But let's segue into the next. Where does tarot come in? For me, what I usually do when I sit down with my clients and they're expressing the need to contact to the other side is I say to them, I can try. That's all I can really say is I can try. Let's see what the cards have to say. And then I read the cards as if the cards are, the tarot is that message from spirit or that message from the person that they want to contact. So I didn't really understand at first when people started coming to me and asking me specifically to be a medium. And this happened more often than not at this time of the year when everyone seems to be wanting to make contact with the other side, with people that have passed on, that with loved ones that have passed on, with wanting to speak to loved ones that maybe have unanswered questions, that sort of thing. And this started to happen during a Halloween party that I do annually. I do readings at annually. And the person sat down with me and they said, I'd like to contact someone that has passed on. Can you do it? And, which is very nice. And you know what? That's a great way to approach it. Ask us first. Ask us if we can do X, Y, or Z. And so my response was, usually I would shut that down right away, but for some reason, I felt like the vibe was right, the energy was right. I had a connection with that person. So I said, you know what, we can try. And it doesn't happen all the time. And that's the reason why I say I can try. And if it doesn't work, I will usually then refer the person to mediums that I personally can vouch for, that I have had readings from. So at that particular point in time, in that moment, I was able to connect to that person and we had a wonderful reading, but it wasn't, the circumstances of their passing wasn't wonderful, but it did come up in the tarot. And so what you want to do when you're looking at the tarot cards that are coming up is look very specifically at the symbols, but also have a soft gaze for those symbols. Like, for example, I believe it was the 10 of Swords that came up in that reading. And for some reason, I thought about, instead of the swords, I thought about needles and I thought overdose. Like that was just like the 1 to 1 to 1. And it just led me to that person and what that person was trying to say. So I hope that makes sense. Again, with psychic information, with tarot, with mediumship, it can sometimes not be quantified in words. It can only be felt. And that's another point that I want to really make when I'm talking about mediumship. I was saying this to a person the other day about mediumship and not necessarily the message, but the feeling. That feeling cannot be duplicated. That cannot be faked, truly. And when I've sat and gotten a mediumship reading from someone else, I felt that presence of that person that has passed. And I think that is something that you should really look for when you're looking into a medium. Because a lot of the time, and also I want to mention, Jake is an evidential medium, which means that he's always asking questions of the spirit. And that seems a little bit presumptuous, but also the reason why he does that is most of the time spirits come forward to tell us that they're okay and that we're okay. So knowing that, it's like it doesn't seem to be that impressive. It's just like, oh, so-and-so, Aunt Gertrude wants you to know that she's okay. And so Jake, as an evidential medium, always keeps on asking the spirit, tell me more. I need proof. I need to show that this person that's sitting here, that only something they would know about you. Like, tell me that, so that there's confirmation here. There's evidence here. Because most of the time, when you sit down or when spirit is trying to make contact, there's lights flickering, electronics. That's usually music as well. They'll send you different songs. And most of the time, it's not about a specific message. It's more about, I'm okay. And also, their greatest concern is how we're doing as well. So the most of the messages that I've seen come through is, I'm okay and you're going to be okay. And it doesn't sound that groundbreaking, that compelling, but at the same time, it's the feeling of being with that person that cannot be duplicated. And that is truly the sign to me of a really great medium. And that's something that can't be faked. So I'm going to let you guys know. Oh, I didn't put that in my agenda, but I'm going to go ahead and I add it to the agenda right now. So, recommended mediums that I recommend. And I'm going to actually pull up their websites as I'm going here. So bear with me. So first up, Jake, I love you dearly, but I can never pronounce your last name. Jake Samoidny, I think, or Smidny. I'm sorry, Jake. I know we've known each other for years, but for some reason, I can never pronounce your last name correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that into the chat. And the website is the www.compassionatemedium.com. And just so you know, it is in the chat right now. So you can go ahead and you can click on that link. The next person I'm going to recommend is my best friend in the entire world. So this is big shout out and recommendation for her. She is a licensed massage therapist as well, but she is also a very, very talented medium. Her name is Elizabeth Labarca. And so I'm going to put in her name here. And I think she's still in session right now. So that's the reason why she's not joining us. But I would love to be able to bring her on here. So Lizzie, if you happen to be around, or if you're tuning in right now, let me know so I could possibly bring you onto the live. If not, no problem. But I'm sending people your way for mediumship readings. So let's see. I swear I know more mediums than those two people, but those are the two people that I can think of to recommend right now. Let me see here. So her website is ELABARCALMT.weebly.com. So you can go ahead and you can book a reading with either Jake or with Elizabeth. They're both fantastic. Or you can book a reading with me, a tarot reading, and ask me before you book whether or not I can do a mediumship tarot reading for you. And as always, I say, let's try. Now, we are on to Q&A time. So now is the time to ask me any questions that you have on the topic of tarot, on the topic of tarot and mediumship, on the topic of mediumship. If you have any leftover questions from our lives that we've done for the last few Fridays, now is the time to ask me. I do see that someone was in the chat before asking a question. It looked like it was a question for the tarot, not about the tarot. Tonight, I am not doing one card readings because I did it last week. I had an entire Facebook Live devoted to that and no one showed up. So not doing that anymore. If you would like a reading with me, you can go ahead and book with me at www.tarotbyhilary.com. That is Hilary with one L. And I do have that as an email reading option. One question, one card for those kind of questions where you just want to know now. You can certainly go ahead and you can book a reading with me. Please and thank you. Because I don't do readings for free unless I decide to do them. So boundaries, very sexy, very important. So go ahead and ask your questions and I'm here to answer them. And while I'm waiting for that, if you have any questions, speaking of free readings, we are still going to do the weekend forecast. So, but let me backtrack a little bit. So if you're interested or fascinated by the psychic world, how psychics receive their information, how mediums receive their information, I really wanted to shout out a book that I seem to read every single year around this time of year, even though, oh yeah, PSA as well. I read tarot all year round. You don't have to get a reading now. You can get a reading in July. You can get a reading in April. You can get a reading in August. It seems like October is the busy season for tarot readers. And while I love my clients and I love getting a lot of work and a lot of readings, like just remember, you can still have a reading in November or December or January. It doesn't have to be in October. Okay, PSA over. So this book I read almost every year around this time, and I've actually met Terry and she's amazing. Her name is, so the author's name is Terry Iacuso, and the name of her book is Small Mediums at Large, The True Tale of a Family of Psychics, and it is delicious. So this is a memoir. This is a true story memoir. And I'm rereading it again for, I think it's like the 20th time. Let's see. When did it originally get published? Let me see. I can't find it. Where's the original publishing date? (2004). So yeah, I really have been reading it for at least 10 years, at least 15 years, I think. Well, anyway, it's a fabulous book, Small Mediums at Large by Terry Iacuso. And you can find Terry at terryiacuso.com. But just know that she, I believe she is retired from doing professional readings. Let me just double check that, but I'm fairly certain that she doesn't do readings anymore. Yep. No requests for psychic reading. So there you go. But, and oh yeah, and on her website that I've just left in the comments section is an excerpt from chapter 1 of this book. So in case you want to preview it before you go ahead and buy it on Kindle or buy a paperback copy, there is an excerpt of the first chapter on her website. So go ahead and check it out. I found this to be a very gratifying read because some of the things that she's experiencing or she experienced, some of it is like truly like mind blowing, but other stuff, the way she describes it, I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm not crazy. So thank you, Terry. Okay. So it doesn't look like there's any questions coming up. Let me just double check on the Facebook tab to make absolutely certain. Nope. No questions. So we're going to move into the weekend forecast. And I'm going to do the weekend forecast. It's going to be a 1-card reading for the weekend. Let's see. Well, first of all, but before I do that, remember, we are going to go live again next Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be probably our 10th episode. I don't know. I'm losing count of the many times that we've been going live. So next Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here again on this Facebook page, facebook.com/tarot by Hilary. That's the quick way to get to it. And I will pin it as a post at the top so that you know exactly where to come to when we go live again. And as always, I'm open to suggestions about topics that you would like to hear about, that you would like to learn more about tarot, about mediumship, about psychic stuff, about what to charge if you're first starting out doing psychic readings or doing tarot readings. What decks do I recommend? Maybe doing live unboxing of different decks or new decks or live reviews. So let me know what you would like to see here in this space. You can email me, Hilary@tarotbyhilary.com or terrytowntarot@gmail.com. I am answering both of those emails, or you can go ahead and you can leave a comment, either direct message me through here, or you can leave a comment in the comment box right now. So let us go into my name, and it's the weekend forecast. It's the weekend forecast. So really quickly, I want to just introduce the deck that I'm using for this weekend's weekend forecast. And by the way, shout out to retail workers, anyone that's working this weekend or doesn't consider the weekend a weekend. Like, I got you too. This applies to you as well. So on Tuesday of this past week, I happened to get what I believe was the last ticket to the NYC launch of Kim Kranz's new tarot deck, the Wild Unknown Archetypes deck. The Wild Unknown Archetypes tarot deck, because it is 78 cards. And so I got the guidebook, and I got it signed, and it is beautiful. So there you go. New deck smell. I love it. So I got a copy of that deck, and she led a workshop about archetypes. What are archetypes? And basically archetypes are running all of our lives beneath the surface in our subconscious and our beliefs. So it was very interesting, very deep, very psychological, but also really fun as well if you're into that sort of thing. So this is the box, or the top of the box. And there's a circular deck. And so this is the backs of the cards. So I believe it's like a faceted diamond, almost as if that is what archetypes are. There are many facets. So let me go ahead and shuffle it up. And this is going to be our weekend forecast for this weekend. I'm only going to pull one because these concepts of archetypes are humongous. And she was saying during her talk that you could study one of these cards or one of these archetypes that come up on these cards, just one, for the rest of your lifetime, and you would still go to your deathbed wondering, what is this archetype? Because they're so big. Our puny human brains cannot understand. So, shuffling up. What does the weekend have in store for us? All right, top of the deck. All right. So, much in the same way that I would read an oracle deck by going to the guidebook, I'm going to go ahead and go to the guidebook for this tarot deck, because it's just, I'm going to have to use these as if they are oracle cards, because they're just huge. They're huge concepts. So let me go ahead. So we have the Village. Isn't that beautiful? So let me put it over here. So there you go. This is your reading for this weekend and maybe into next week, because big. Archetypes are big. So let me go ahead and put it down and find it in the guidebook for you guys. But you can already start to research the Village archetype, what that means to you. Look up different myths about the village, a village. What does a village mean to you? What is the village's purpose in society, in life? Let me see. So this is one of the places archetypes, the village. It's number 41 of the deck. And it falls on page 145. So keep in mind that this is right out of the companion book for the archetypes deck. And I want to make sure that I'm still recording here. Yes, I am. Cool. And I will go ahead and I will hold up this card as I'm reading. So there you go. All right. The village, the hometown, the family, the tribe. The village presents us with a conundrum. On one hand, it's the place that feels most like home, the place to which you can always return. Nostalgia and comfort draws us back. On the other hand, it's the very place you must leave in order to grow. Around the village, an unspoken boundary exists, one most villagers do not want you to cross. Though some support your leaving, still you hear whispers of doubt as you venture beyond its borders, leaving them behind. The energy of the village is present anytime we feel restricted by a certain group, community, family, place, or ideology. It may have served us in the past, yet staying within its parameters will never satiate our thirst for life. Thank the village for all that it has provided, knowing you will someday return. For now, the world awaits. So that is your reading for this weekend. So take that as you will. And it probably is going to filter into the next week as well. It's a big concept. It's a big card. So there's the village. All right. Let me just double check that we don't have any questions. Nope. Nope. No questions. All right. That is your weekend forecast. I hope it served you well. Let me turn off the weekend forecast crawler because we are done. We are done with tonight's workshop on tarot and mediumship. I really hope it served you. If you're just tuning in again right now, the replay will be available shortly, so stay tuned for that. And if you don't already know who I am from past live episodes or replays, my name is Hilary Perry Haggerty. I am a professional tarot reader coming to you from www.tarotbyhilary.com. That is where to find me and my work and to purchase a reading, and I really hope you do so. And my job is to demystify the mystical and confirm your own intuitive nudges and hits. They're there for you. Your intuition is there for you to guide you and serve you and empower you. And I promise you, you do have intuition. Everyone does. I hope you have a great night, and I will see you again this time next week.